having an amazing day so far. All right, so for today we will be doing our grade 2 English lesson on adjectives that compare. And before we start, you're going to log into the aplusstudents.ca page, and we're going to log in with our username as well as with our password. All right, so once we've logged in with our username as well as our password, and then we are going to select the subject of language arts, grade 2. All right, now once we get to the page with the different chapters, we are going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of adjectives, adjectives that come. We have selected the chapter of adjectives that compare. The lesson or focus lesson is going to be to identify comparative and superlative adjectives. So we are going to compare, we're going to first identify comparative and superlative adjectives, right? All right, let's go into our lesson. All right, so basically some adjectives, right? It compare people, it compares animals, it compares places, or it even compares things, right? And then we have with adjectives that compare people, animals, places, or things, we have something called a comparative adjective, and then we also have superlative adjective, right? All right, so comparative adjectives. So the comparative adjectives, it compares two people or animals or places or things, right? And with comparative adjectives, it compares to people, animals, places, or things. They they end in er. They end in er, right? So which means if we look at this picture that we see in front of us, right? If we look at the height, Andy is taller than his sister, right? Which means that Andy, which is the boy, is taller than his sister, right? So we can then say maybe that his sister is a bit tall, right? We don't want to say she's short, but Andy is taller, right? Because now we are comparing the two of them. So she, compared to maybe other ladies, is tall, but compared to when we compare her and Andy in height, we can say that Andy is taller than his sister. Sorry. So even the same, if we were to even reverse it, right, then we can even say that she, the sister, is, can't say smaller, but we can say she is shorter, right? Not just that she's short, but we can say she's shorter. And we added the ER to show the person. The ER is there to show the comparison. All right, and then we have superlative adjectives, right? So with superlative adjectives, we compare more than two people, more than two animals, places, things, right? So with if we go back to comparative adjectives, it only compares two people, right? Or two places, or two animals, or two things, right? But with superlative adjectives, we compare more than two people, animals, places, or things. And then it usually ends in est, right? It usually ends in est. So it's like you are, or the person is being compared to three or more, or sometimes the whole class, or sometimes they are being compared um, by the group, right? But it is always more than two people or more than one person. So it's more than two people that is being compared, right? So in this case, we said earlier on that Andy is taller than his sister. But now, if we look at his group of friends, right, then we can say Andy, which is he is Andy, is the tallest person in his class. So as you can see, Andy is being basically compared to not just his friends, but to the whole class, right? And that is a superlative adjective. And usually with a superlative adjective, right? Or let's say most times we add the in front of it. So the tallest, the shortest, the smallest, the smartest, right? So we have comparative adjectives and then we have superlative adjectives, right? So comparative compares two people, two animals, two places, or two things, right? And then we have the superlative adjective, which compares more than two people, animals, places, or things. Is usually compared to a group or is compared to the class, but quite a few things other than just one person that is being compared to. All right. So now if we go up and we look at our question, let's just find the adjective that compares. Kevin is the youngest boy in the class. So Kevin is the youngest boy in the class. We need to find the adjective that compares within the sentence. So if we were to find the adjective that compares, we can say youngest, right? So he's the youngest. All right, so Kevin is the youngest boy in the class. So youngest is a superlative adjective. So this we say is superlative. It's a superlative adjective, right? He is being compared to the whole class, not just his friend or his friends, but the whole class. So according to, so when it comes to comparing Kevin to the whole class, he is the youngest boy. He is the youngest boy in their class, and we call that a superlative adjective. A superlative adjective. All right. A chipmunk is larger than a mouse. A chipmunk is than a mouse. Chipmunk. If we were to find the adjective that compare, we can say it's larger, right? And with us identifying larger as being the adjective, we can say larger is a comparative adjective. So it's a comparative adjective, right? And remember we said with comparative adjectives, our basically our adjective it ends in er, right? So our adjective ends in er, right? Mr. Arnold is the wisest man in town. Arnold is the wisest man in town. So our adjective that compare is wisest, right? And wisest because he is being also compared to the whole town, right? He is the wisest man in town. So compare to all the people in town that maybe partake in some competition or word something or quiz something. Mr. Arnold is the wisest man in town. And with that being said, wisest, right, is a superlative adjective. So we stick to it being a superlative adjective, being compared not only to, let's say, somebody else, a friend, but he is being compared to the whole town, probably all the men in town. All right. Our kitchen is cleaner than our living room. So our kitchen is cleaner than our living room. We need to choose the adjective that compares. All right, so if we were to find the adjective, right, that compares, and then we are going to say it is cleaner, right? So we're going to select cleaner, right? And cleaner, it ends in er, right? So it ends in er, so which means that also it is a comparative adjective. So it's a comparative adjective ends in er. So action is also then compared to the living room. So the kitchen is being compared to the living room. So our kitchen is cleaner than our living room. Bear Mountain is shorter than Table Mountain. So Bear Mountain is shorter than Table Mountain. All right, so we are going to select shorter, right? So shorter being our adjective that compares. And shorter ends in er. And we said that an adjective that compares ends with an er. So this is a comparative adjective. So Bear Mountain is shorter than Table Mountain, meaning that the distance is not as long or stretchy or lengthy. That is why it is shorter than Table Mountain. Because with Table Mountain, it is a long, upwards, probably 4 to 5 hour hike. And we assume Bear Mountain is not as far or the distance is not as long. The apple tree is shorter than the oak tree. So the apple tree is shorter than the oak tree. So we're going to choose shorter. Shorter if we were to find the adjective that compares, right? So in this case, the apple tree is being compared to the oak tree, right? And we are saying that the apple tree is shorter than the oak tree. So we are now comparing the two, which is the apple tree as well as the oak tree, right? And this adjective ends in er, which means that it is a comparative adjective. All right. All right, so this is a comparative adjective, right? Where we said that the apple tree is shorter than the oak tree, right? Meaning the oak tree is it the word taller than the apple tree? Mm-mm. The line Hannah drew is straight than the line Tessa drew. So here, both Hannah and Tessa a line, right? I remember a line needs to be straight and needs to be accurate. So the line Hannah drew is straighter than the line Tessa drew. So the line Hannah drew is straighter than the line Tessa drew, which means that we are going to choose straighter. So straighter being the adjective, right? And it's the adjective that compares Hannah as well as Tessa, right? It compares. So in this case, if it compares two people, right, then it is a comparative adjective, right? Comparative. All right. A calf is younger than a cow. A calf is younger than a cow. So a calf is younger. So if we say the calf is younger, then we can say that younger. Sorry. All right. So if we say younger, right? So if we make mention of younger, remember we are comparing in this case the calf to a cow, right? Or let's say a baby cow, right? And now they're saying that the calf is younger than a crowd, right? And this is comparative. And what do we compare the calf to the cow. We compare the calf to the cow. And we said that with a comparative adjective, it ends in ER. With superlative, it ends in EST, right? So here we are comparing two, only two, which is the cow, and we're also comparing the cow to one another. And that is why we call it a comparative adjective, because it is comparing two animals. All right, so now we're going on to our test, right? And with the test, we need to define comparative and superlative adjectives, right? So now we need to find the adjective that compares. Sarah's hair is lighter than Eric's hair. Is it lighter or is it hair? So Sarah's hair is lighter than Eric's hair. So is it lighter or is our adjective or is the adjective hair? So we can then say that our adjective is lighter, right? Because they are comparing Sarah and Eric. Good job. Dale is the youngest boy in the class. So we're going to choose youngest, right? And then an elephant is stronger than a house. An elephant is stronger than a house. So is it stronger or horse? Stronger or horse? Stronger or horse? So we're going to choose stronger, right? And that is also comparative adjective. Well done. Aiden is the kindest person. We need to find the adjective that compare. Is it kindest or person? Our kitchen is cleaner than our living room. So our kitchen is cleaner than our living room. And with the kitchen being cleaner than the living room, we can then say that cleaner is our adjective that compares. So cleaner. And also, there we have the ER, and the ER shows that it is a comparative adjective where we are comparing two things, which is the kitchen as well as the living room. So cleaner. All right. And then we also have the wolf is the meanest wolf in the pack. So in the pack, because the pack have more than one wolf, for example, let's say two or more wolves in the pack. So if you compare one wolf, sorry, to the whole pack, sorry, then that is a superlative adjective, right? And we then say the superlative adjective ends in est, so it is meanest. So the wolf is the meanest wolf in the pack, so meanest, and that is a superlative adjective. All right, the cat is meaner than the dog. So the cat is meaner than the dog. So now we are comparing the cat and the dog, right? We're comparing two things, or more like two animals. And if we compare two animals, then it is a comparative adjective. So comparative, where we are comparing two animals, and it ends with an er. So we can say it is meaner. Meaner is our adjective. All right, so that is so far our adjectives, right? So some adjectives, we say some adjectives, it compares people, it compares animals, it compares places, or it compares things, right? And with our adjectives that compare people, animals, places, or things, we have a comparative adjective, and then we have a superlative adjective. So superlative adjective, right? With our comparative adjective, we compare two people or to animals or to places or to things, right? And when we compare two things, animals, places, or people, and then our adjective ends in er. But now we have superlative adjective, right? Which compares more than two people, animals, places, or things. And they usually end in est. All right. Okay. Okay, so now if we now look at our little box that we see here in front of us, right, with adjectives that compare, we said we have a comparative adjective and we have a superlative adjective, right? And then if we also have our normal adjective, and then we can say loud, which is the normal adjective, loud. Then we have louder, which is comparative, and we have loudest. So this is our adjective. All right. So here we have our normal adjective, comparative, and superlative. Then we have great, greater, greatest, great, greater, greatest. And as you can see, that our adjective, our normal adjective is just, for example, the word great. So that is he is a great person, right? But she is greater, right? So now we're comparing her to him. It's greater. But then we can say, but John is the greatest, right? So greatest. And then we have warm, warmer, and warmest, right? And these shows the three columns of adjectives that compare, which we have our normal adjective, then we have the adjective that compare two things, places, animals, or people, and then we have the adjective that compares more than two people, animals, places, or things, and we call that a superlative adjective. Now, all right, so now if we look at our base adjectives, our comparative adjectives, as well as a few examples of the superlative adjectives, right? And then we can say we have big, bigger, biggest, right? Big, bigger, biggest. And then we have the base adjective, which is hot. And if we compare it to another thing, right? Another one thing. So if we compare two things, then we say it is hotter. And then we also say the superlative adjective being hottest, right? Then we have high, comparative adjective higher, superlative adjective highest. Right. And that is but a few of the adjectives that we have, right? We have loud, louder, loudest, and bright, brighter, brightest, right? And then we have the comparative adjective, like we said, ends in er, and the superlative adjective ends in is t, right? Adjective, which is a comparative adjective, it compares two people, whereas a superlative compares more than two people. All right. All right. So now, if we look at our activity that we see here in front of us, they say put more or most. We're not going to put more or most. Let's not put that one. That is a bit advanced. All right. Let's go to this one. So here we have now our table, right? And with our table, we need to now add either the normal adjective, if, for example, the comparative or superlative was given, or we need to add the comparative adjective, or we add the superlative adjective, right? But we are going to fill in the missing boxes, right? So we are going to fill in the missing, or there where the missing spaces is. We have our normal adjective example, which is slow. Here we have an example. Then we have the comparative adjective, which is slower, and it ends in er. And then we have the superlative adjective, which is slowest, and it ends in est. So now we are going to fill in the chart. Okay, so now the comparative adjective given to us is faster, which means that if we look at the normal adjective, then we can say it is fast, right? Then the comparative is faster, and then the superlative is fastest. All right, then the next one, quickest, is given. Quickest as a superlative adjective, and then we can say with the normal adjective, we can say it's quick. And the comparative adjective is quicker. And then we have the comparative adjective is later. Then we have late, later, and then latest. And then we have, is it sad? Sadder. And we have the saddest. All right, so prettiest is given to us. Prettiest is given to us. So which means that with the normal one, we can say it's pretty. Oh, pretty. And our comparative adjective is prettier. Then we have happier. So the comparative adjective is given happier. Let's put happy under H for happy. Oopsie, sorry. B. All right, so we have happy, and then we're happier, and then happiest. Happiest. Let me just rewrite it. All right, then the last one is cleanest. Cleanest. And our normal adjective is clean. And then we have a comparative, which is cleaner. And dark. Then we have dark, darker, darkest. Right? So these are but a few of the adjectives that compare, where we have a normal base adjective, right? Then we have comparative adjectives, where we compare to people, animals, places, or things, right? That is the comparative adjective. Then we have the superlative adjective, right? And with superlative, right? Firstly, it ends in est. It ends in est, and also with superlative adjective, it compares the person to two or more other people, right? Or animals, places, or things, right? You're being compared to more than two things or animals or things. All right. All right. So now, this is now our last activity, right? This is our last activity. We have comparative adjectives, and we said comparative adjectives is where we compare two people, animals, places, or things, right? So Ruby was old than Ken. So if we were to write that word in bracket in the comparative form, then we need to add an ER. So we can say older than Ken. My house is large than hers. Large than hers. So my house is large than hers. Larger or largest than hers. So large, larger, largest. All right, so yeah, we will then say my house is larger. It's like saying it's bigger. My dog ran nuts. Sorry, my dog runs fast than you. My dog runs fast than you. So we can say my dog runs faster than you. And then cats are nicer than dogs. And cartoons are good TV programs. So usually with good, we have good, better, best. So let's just keep the good, let's keep the better. The US is bigger than Australia. And then June is prettier than May. And then I think Jurassic Park was the best film ever. Best. Because we don't get, guys, we don't get gooder. And we don't get goodest. So good, better, best. Not good, gooder, goodest. That is wrong. Last one. Mount Everest is taller than Mount Abu. And then my room is cleaner. It's cleaner. Then, anyways. All right, so these are the comparative adjective. Adjectives that compare, and we also said we have comparative and we have superlative. All right, so now that is basically the end of our lessons. We said that comparative adjectives, it compares to people, animals, places, or things, and they usually end in er. And then we have superlative adjectives that compare more than two people, animals, places, or things, and they end in est. And overall, in general, adjectives, it compares people, animals, places, or things. All right, so that is now the end of our lesson on adjectives that compare. You should have an amazing evening further. Goodbye.